hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and you are absolutely stuck with me until this is over because there will be no excused absences. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys are having a good week. Monday's behind you, so you got that going for you. It's been a really cool day today. Just again, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I don't think it's quite dead yet anyway. The podcast did launch today, and just been putting out notices on Facebook, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio, and my Brent Thomas page, and on MeWe, and on Twitter about this. So if you haven't checked it out already, please do. It would really help out. It's a brand new venture for us, and we're really excited about it. But you know, we could sure use your support, as it's just in the real formative stages, and you know, the more momentum we give it, of course, the bigger it'll become quicker. So I'm very excited about it, and I hope you guys will at least check it out. And if you like it, please subscribe. And I don't know if there's ways to give ratings or whatever, but you know, I'm not going to fish for ratings. If you give them, great. If you don't, no worries. But it's kind of like a thumbs up here on YouTube, where the thumbs up, or down, I guess it doesn't really matter. But as long as there's interaction, then YouTube goes, well, there's people responding to this video, we're going to promote it more. So it helps their algorithm pick it up. Well, same thing on like iTunes and stuff. If you have ratings, well, then iTunes is going to probably work a little harder to promote it. So if you don't mind, that'd be cool. Or wherever you get your podcast from, if there's any kind of rating systems there or not, I don't know. But anything you can do to help, we'll greatly appreciate. So thank you guys so much. Those of you who have already checked it out, I can see all the numbers coming in, and it's getting a really good response. It's really exciting. So, but if you haven't, I would really love you to. So tonight we are going to be doing the bedtime stories. So I don't know about y'all, but it's time for bed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond. So we got bedtime stories, so I hope you guys are all ready for bed, because I got the stories all lined up, and hopefully they're entertaining. I don't know either, so we're both going to find out together, because that's how I roll here on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. But again, special thank you to everyone who sent me messages about the podcast. A lot of people have been really gracious and excited about it, and of course, I'm extraordinarily excited about it, but I'll move on now, because I don't want to bore you guys with it, but it's just really cool. It's really fun, but we got stories tonight, and good to see all you guys. Some new faces are coming in tonight. It's really cool. If you want to call in and be a part of the show, if you've got something you want to share, the call-in number is always available on our YouTube and TFR feeds. So the call-in number for the show is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. 0500. So we have the ability to communicate. And so if you want to use that, if you want to call in and tell me about, what you've experienced, what you've seen, and it doesn't have to necessarily feed into whatever the conversation is about at the time. If you saw a UFO, call in. I don't care when. Call in and tell me about it. Unless we got a guest on, then of course the call-ins are another matter entirely. But if we're doing a show about black-eyed kids and you want to talk about seeing a Bigfoot, cool. Call in, tell me about it. The floor is always open, and I just love when you guys interact and share like that. If you're not really sure about being on the air, that kind of freaks you out, or you're not a public speaker and calling in and makes you have anxiety attacks, then you can simply email your stories to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to read them for you. But that's another option. And please let me know in the email if you want to be identified or not. I do my best to always adhere to that. And make sure that we don't disclose anybody's identity if they don't wish that to be so. Or if you either want to be just anonymous, or you say, hey, you can call me blah, that's cool. I will call you whatever that name would be. So anyway, and if you're fine with being identified, just say, I don't care. Go ahead. Use my identity. Either way, it's fine. I think these, stories are cool, but some people, of course, they have a different circle of friends and acquaintances, and it's important to protect their identity. And I understand that, and I will always respect that. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, send your stories, Blake. Julia's on it, and so is Lady Death and Diana. All three mods are here. Wonderful, guys. I love you all. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here. It always makes me feel so much more comfortable seeing those blue names floating out there. So thanks, guys. So let's get to the stories. What do you say? Shall we? Hang on, we're going in. I love these stories. All right, the first one is coming from Oregon. Is it Oregon or Oregon? I don't know. I often wonder that. I'm just kidding. I never wonder that. It just came to my head now. And no, ladies and gentlemen, I do not use chemicals. This is just the real me. If you're new to the show, this is how I roll. All right, so Oregon. Let's see what's going on over there. This isn't your typical ghost story. It's weird, yeah, but not really threatening. The house in question was one of my best friend's houses. It was built in the 1920s, and a chiropractor had died in the 40s in her brother's bedroom. The first time she experienced... What? In her brother's bedroom. And a chiropractor had died. So I guess her is the person that has the room now, not that it was a female chiropractor. Okay, I just had to work that out there. Had died in the 40s in her brother's bedroom. And the first time she experienced the ghost was when she snuck into his closet to take a few of his CDs. While she was fingering the goods, the closet door began to bang, and a weird nasally noise emitted, and she freaked out and ran out. Needless to say, she didn't try to steal his CDs again. So the chiropractor was standing guard. That's a pretty good ghost to have. A couple of years later, she moved into the room her brother had once occupied, and that's when I started experiencing things as well. First of all, more than half of the pictures we took in that room, when developed, had odd smoky forms or blue-green slashes randomly in the frame. Well, that's pretty powerful. That could very well be ghostly apparitions appearing. They had an old intercom system throughout the house, and sometimes when I would go by, they would go off and make staticky noises. Downstairs, the roommates claimed that the stereo would go on and off, volume up and down, and the stations changing by themselves, and the only relief they got was when they unplugged it. In the basement, there was a door that had stairs behind it that led to absolutely nowhere, and they rebuilt the staircase for some reason. I don't know why, but the doorway to nowhere was a creepy thing to behold. So that the tenants down there moved the refrigerator in front of it, and then the next day the fridge somehow moved so that the door was again exposed. They put the fridge in front of the door again, and the next day the same thing occurred. After that, they gave up and just tried to ignore the phenomena. I did, oh geez. I did the Ouija board, in parentheses, stupid, I know, and asked for a sign of the man's presence. Almost immediately, a stack of nearby magazines fell. I stopped playing the game. One day I was late for work and searching for my purse, and my friend who lived there helped me search the bedroom, and we tore the place apart, looking everywhere but to no avail. Anyway, I was getting flustered and I decided to try something different. I want my purse and I want it now, I yelled. And as I stormed outside to smoke a cigarette, and when I came in 5 minutes later, lo and behold, there was my purse on the bed where it definitely was not before. One last little story. The house in question, I suppose, could be categorized as a party house. Always lots of people with tenants on every floor. And my friend had the upstairs and always had lots of girls over. Well, one July, all of us went to the country fair. It says country fair, but I think they mean county fair. A big hippie fest out there. And we were away for 4 days. And when we returned, the roommate downstairs told us of all that happened in our absence. Apparently, the second night we were gone, and until we returned, the upstairs door slammed open and shut all day, even when he would latch it. There was no wind. It was July, after all, and mellow weather out west, and he also claimed that somebody kept knocking at his bedroom door, and when he would open it, nobody was there. But that it was really cold enough to see his breath. Again, in July. And finally, along the door, with the door slamming all day, he heard stomping from upstairs constantly. As soon as he got back, everything went back to normal. Or as soon as we got back, rather, sorry. I don't want to bore you, but there are many more stories that go with this house. And the thing I want to stress is that this ghost never tried to hurt us. I just think he wanted the attention. And if I could go back, I would, to do EVP research and try to communicate and help the poor spirit. Yeah, that's the thing. Now here's the other thing. And actually I brought this up on the podcast. It's like, sometimes things like missing purses may be almost a divine intervention. And the reason why is that we can't know for sure, but just imagine this possibility. So you have a spirit, and for some reason, spirits seem to be able to see things that are coming. They don't seem to have the issue with, time and not knowing the future. They seem to know what is coming up as if it's, almost written in stone. And that's a whole nother dynamic that we can get into in another time. But anyway, I've thought about this often, and we oftentimes hear stories of missing keys or missing items, and I was late for work and I couldn't go out the door, my keys were gone, and I looked all over, and after about 10 or 15 minutes of looking, boom, it was right in the place where I always left them, which it wasn't before. And in this story, the purse. They're looking all over, tearing the place up and down, and can't find it. She said, I need it now. Went out and smoked, came back in, boom, it's right there in the middle of the bed. So what if there was a possibility that she was going to be in a nasty car accident had her purse been there and she left at that time? Could have been even fatal or whatever. So maybe this was a protective mechanism. Maybe those kind of things are divine intervention. Maybe they are, the methods that spirits use to try to keep us from harm that might otherwise have happened. And so I know those kind of things are really annoying when they happen, but when you look at it that way, could it be divine? So, I mean, as frustrating as they are at the time, if you look at it from another angle, maybe they're the most positive thing that could have happened. And they're showing a deep and profound act of love to protect the person that they're there with. Just food for thought. I don't claim to know, and I'm not saying that every time these things happen that is the case. But if it happens to you, maybe it's somebody looking out for you. That's all I'm going to say. Just whatever you think. So, Lady Death says, or what if she lost it and the spirit didn't want to hear her complain anymore and was like, here, have it, lady, leave. Yeah, that's always a possibility too. Maybe she was and extraordinary pain, and the spirit just wanted her the hell out. So it found her purse for her. Maybe. I hadn't considered that. Thank you. All right. So the next one, ladies and gentlemen, is coming from Nebraska. Nebraska. It sounds just like it's spelled. I love it. So my parents bought a house that was owned by the Card family. They were hoarders, especially of animals, any animal, and they kept them all in the house and never let them out. Oh, dear God. Bathrooms and closet were turned into animal housing, and the purchase occurred approximately 1 year prior to my birth. Mrs. Card was an alcoholic and ended up drinking herself to death in the house. When an autopsy was performed, her blood alcohol level was 0.38. The rest of the Cards moved afterwards. Needless to say, my parents got the house for a significant discount. I'll bet they did. I never really noticed any activity growing up, but my bedroom was on the first floor. The move to the basement was when the weird stuff really started to happen. Up until my 16th year, the basement, which was basically a 3-bedroom apartment, had always been rented out because my parents could use the extra income to feed myself and my 3 brothers. As soon as one of my brothers and I moved down there, we noticed strange occurrences, but nothing major. Light bulbs would only last for about a month. Batteries would be dead after opening the package brand new, and it wasn't until I had a computer that the really active period began. I had the computer in my room, and it was directly to the left of my bed. It was plugged into a surge bar along with a reading lamp and a printer and a clock radio, and I was on the computer quite a lot, and I always turned it off before I went to bed. And I started to notice that when I would wake up, my computer was on. I told myself at first that I must have forgotten to turn it off last night, and this event happened about once a week at first, and then it became a nightly occurrence. Eventually, I specifically unplugged the surge bar from the wall before I went to sleep. This tactic worked for about a week. One night I was sound asleep when I was awoken by the sound of a loud bang. I sat up in bed, obviously wondering what was going on, and 1 second later, my computer, reading light, printer, and clock radio all came on at the same time. Then I saw a glowing orb about the size of a golf ball float over my bed, about chest height, if standing, and go through my bedroom door. And at that point, my bedroom overhead light came on. My bedroom was a bit strange because the light switch was located just outside the door. I said the Lord's Prayer and went back to sleep, and I've since moved away and never experienced anything similar to that in all my life. That's a strange one, yeah. That spirit was definitely like, oh yeah, well, you can unplug that, but here you go. And I'm going to turn on your light just to piss you off. Well, there you go. I don't know. That's a pretty good story. I don't know. I had another thought about that, but it just went right out of my head. So I guess it wasn't important. All right. The next story, ladies and gentlemen, comes from the state of Colorado. And let's see what's going on there. Oh, send your stories. Yes. Send that video. What video? I'd like to send you a video. Yeah, please, Christy. I'd love to see a video. Just send it to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Is it your video or is it a video you found? Let me know, because if it's something that I can use on the show or not. If it's somebody else's video, of course, I'd have to get express permission. But if you're giving me permission to show your video, very cool. All right, so it was last December, and the snow hills around my house were absolutely huge. Now, this last December would have been in 2006, because this story is from 2007. So, of course, I decided, why not climb to the very top of one of these snow piles? Can't be that bad. Well, it was. I'm usually not afraid of heights, but that day was different. It had to be around 30 around 30 to, this says 30-50, so it's 30 to 50 feet high, very steep. In fact, one side actually indented inward, and I thought it was all snow, but it wasn't. The night before, it had actually sleeted a bit and caused the hill to turn from a snow hill to an ice hill. I climbed to the very tip with my best friend, Abby, and my little sister, Rachel, a fair distance below me, and I was scared out of my mind, but I wanted to show them that I could be tough. So I yelled at them, "Hey, look at me. I'm king of the hill." I suddenly remembered being a little kid again, playing outside at recess on a small snow hills next to the school. I told Abby and Rachel to hurry up, and I began to carefully sit down, but I guess I wasn't careful enough. Oh no. I lost my footing and started to slide off the hill, on the side where it was shaped like a half moon. I was dangling by one hand for dear life and yelling at the top of my lungs for Abby and Rachel to come help me. Abby raced up the quickest, but I couldn't hang on, and I prayed to my guardian angel, begging him to help me. Then I started to fall. And this is the weird part. I remember the sensation of falling, but once I got close to the bottom, I stopped. And slowly, I just inched down to the bottom. My eyes were squeezed shut until this point, and when I opened them, I saw a bright light. So bright I couldn't keep my eyes open, and I landed on my feet at the bottom of the hill. My sister and Abby said it was the scariest thing they ever witnessed. I guess they didn't see the bright light, but they saw me land on my head and break my neck. That obviously didn't happen because I was just fine. Abby and Rachel couldn't explain how they saw me land like that, but I couldn't explain my encounter without writing it first. Does anyone have any comments on how they saw me land on my head and break my neck when I actually landed on my feet? I don't understand that. Huh. Wow, that's an incredibly profound story. All I can say is perhaps divine intervention. I guess your guardian angel showed up. And lucky you. I don't know, man, that's powerful. If indeed it's a true story, that's amazing. So they saw this person land and break their neck. Like the neck was landing on the head and doing the weird crank sideways and stuff. But she experienced landing softly on her feet. Wow. I don't know. The only thing I could think of, in terms of a mundane explanation is that, so for instance, I don't know how to phrase this correctly, but when people like really drunk drivers get into car accidents, they get into some amazing freaking wrecks. I mean, these cars are just hamburger, and these guys walk out of them like, hey, what the hell just happened? And they're walking and they're fine. They shouldn't be. They should be broken in 3 pieces. But for some reason, the effect of the alcohol on their body puts them in such a relaxed state that, if they brace for impact, then you have a resistance. And of course, the force of the impact is going to be so much greater than what you can do with your hands and feet to brace yourself. But, so they never brace. They just kind of smack and they're like noodles. So what if in this situation, she basically just kind of went out of body and her body just went limp and landed, but she was fine. Now, I don't know if she remained on her feet or if she felt herself land on her feet and then was on the ground. I don't know that part. That part isn't clear by the narrative, but that's the only kind of mundane explanation I could throw at this to maybe give it I don't want to say rational because I don't know that that's a rational explanation either. But it's either incredibly divine intervention and profound, or she just slipped out of body and her body just went noodle limp and she smacked into the ground. But since she was so limp, there was no resistance and maybe her bones didn't break. I don't know. Just some thoughts. But if she landed on her head, I don't know that even relaxing would help because you'd think she would have scrambled her bean pretty good. But I don't know. It's an amazing story. Very, very cool. Huh. All right. So the next one is coming from North Dakota. Oh, she's on the phone. Well, before we get to that, let's get to the phone. Hi, you're on the air, 504. Hello? What happened? What is that? I think you hung up on me. Let's try it again. You called back. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hi. I'm not sure what that was. I just heard, and then dead.
My phone hung up on you. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Welcome to the show.
This
What's
is
going on?
Christy.
Hi, Christy. How are you?
This is Christy Mussich. I'm doing good, Dawn. How are y'all?
I'm really good, thank you. Things are going really well here, so I can't complain. But what's on your mind tonight, my lady?
Oh, let's see. I do want to send you a video. It's my daughter's. My daughter has a real-time camera that's under her carport, and this happened a couple of months ago. They put the cameras under there because they have neighbors that always come and walk underneath the carport. So they got they wanted to keep an eye out for everything. So my son-in-law has a boat with an ice chest underneath the carport, and the camera just came on for no reason at all. And like the handle of the ice chest is sticking straight up. Then it slowly goes down midway. And then all of a sudden it slams down.
Ooh, that's cool.
I mean, I've got a lot of stories too, Well, my whole family is clairvoyant. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, and my daughter and me.
Oh,
I mean,
fantastic.
we've all had experiences with the with ghosts and stuff.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I'd love to hear all of them, actually. You're
Well,
welcome.
I mean, if you got time,
Well,
I can give a couple of them.
the floor is yours. I love the call-ins the best, so please.
Well, we're from New Orleans, so New Orleans is a pretty heavy haunted area. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
Because we got the voodoo and everything down here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could start off with one night. I was home by myself, and all of a sudden, the door handle on the bathroom door started shaking. There was nobody home but me.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, that freaked me out. And I was like, okay, because there's always things at my mom's house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when my daughter was younger, she met my grandmother when she was little. She passed away when she was 6. So we're talking about 1996. But when my grandma had passed away, my daughter had seen her in the church where she was going to school because she was in a Catholic school. She seen my grandmother walk into the church, wave at her, and then she turned around and she disappeared.
Oh, wow. That is cool.
Yeah, and then another one is when my daughter was not listening to me. I told her, I said, you better open your eyes, little girl. I'm going to bust your butt. So next thing you know, she goes in my mama's bathroom to take a shower. Well, the bathroom window, the houses down here were the ones where we lived at were built in the 50s, and the windows has that type of lock on it to where you got to push it up, and then you can push the window up. Well, the window happened to open up on her when I told her that night, when I told her to open up her eyes. So I don't know. She come running out of the bathroom. The window open. I was like, you see, you're not listening.
Wow.
And then this happened a couple of probably about 2 months ago. My granddaughter was staying by my mom's house, and she was being bad, and I told her, I said, look, you better flip your switch, little girl. I said, you better start being good. Stop from being bad to good. Well, when she went in the bathroom, the same one that the window opened up, the light switch turned off on her.
So very, very, very specific or very literal reactions to what you're telling them. That's awesome.
Ain't that it's just bizarre. I mean, and then with my dad, I think everybody's gonna love this story. My dad has seen many different things throughout his life. My dad's 74, so he's seen quite a few because he's from New Orleans. He grew up in the ninth ward. So that's the area. I don't know if anybody knows. During Katrina, Katrina had the Hurricane Katrina came down here and wiped out pretty much of the ninth ward, because that's where my dad grew up at, and that's a pretty small area, and it's there's a lot of old houses there. Some of the houses are over 100 years old.
Oh,
But when my dad was growing up, he was playing with this little boy that lived like 2 blocks over. Well, my dad used to play marbles with the little boy. So one day he went over there to go knock on the door, and he turns around, and the little boy says, "I can't come out today." He says, "Why don't you come back tomorrow?" So my dad said, "Okay, I'll bring my marbles and I'll come back tomorrow." Well, my dad turns around and goes back, knocks on the door. The little boy's dad answered the door, and he's like, "Well, guess what?" He's like, "He can't come out today. His mother had passed away." And he's like, "Okay, I'll come back later," because my dad was young. He didn't know any better,
Right.
So he waited a couple of days, and he went back, knocked on the door, and nobody was answering the door, but the door was open. It was like a screen door. So he happened to walk into the house, and he was calling the little boy's name, and he turns around and he's like, "Hey, so-and-so, you want to play marbles?" And he kept walking through the house. Well, honey, he got to the bedroom part of where the bedroom was, and he happened to look in the mirror. He saw something in the mirror with flames laughing at him. He said it looked like a demon. My dad said he ran out of there.
Oh.
And come to find out that the little boy's mama was she was doing voodoo.
Oh no.
That was some creepy stuff. Yeah.
Ooh,
And then here's a good one. Here's a good one for you.
Sure.
My dad was with a couple of friends, and then like down here in New Orleans, we bury the dead above ground.
Sure.
So they got a lot of cemeteries that are on Canal Boulevard. So when my dad was with his friends walking down Canal Boulevard, they was passing up some of the old cemeteries. Well, this happened to be a cold, foggy night. Well, when they got past one of the cemeteries, they got like a gate. Well, the gate had creaked open. It went, and they stopped walking, and they looked, and this hand came out with a lantern. And my dad looked at his friends, and they all hauled behind, let me tell you. So a couple of days later, my dad's the shortest one, and he passed over all his friends. He says, "I'm not sticking around, forget that." So when a couple of days later, one of his friends' dad worked at the cemetery, and he told him, he says, "Look, man," he says, "we was walking, and some dude was trying to either freak us out or scare us, come out with a lantern in his hand, and the gates opened up, and it made a creaking noise." And the guy told his son, which told my dad, he says, "What you mean? That gate's never been opened." He's like, "What do you mean it's never been opened?" He said, "There's a padlock on there that they lost the key to. They ain't found that key in over 40 years. That well, it was like when my dad told me that story, I was like, no.
Yeah.
I don't go out to New Orleans at night. No way. And then here's another one. When my dad was younger, he was in the Boy Scouts, and you know how they pair up the kids when they take them on like a camping trip or whatever.
Okay.
Well, the little guy that was out walking, he was walking around in the woods, and he come back running, and my dad was in the tent, and the kid was white as a ghost, and my dad says, "What's wrong?" And the little boy actually made a mess on himself, and my dad's like, "What's going on?" He's like pointing out the thing. Well, when my dad opened up the tent, he saw a ghost of a woman with like a thing wrapped around her head, and he said that he could see her floating maybe about a foot off the ground, just floating across the thing. My dad hurried up and closed the tent up, and he had his little knife with him, and he was sitting there the whole night with the knife in his hand. So,
oh man,
the creepy encounters,
That's really cool.
It's crazy.
It is. That's really cool.
It's
And
crazy.
There's a ton of history down
I
there.
figured. Oh yeah, there's a lot of history down here. I mean, there's a lot of different things here.
Right.
We have, the ghosts, the vampires, which I'm not really into. I'm more into everybody that I talk to in the chat room, I'm usually into the Bigfoot thing. I like the Bigfoot
Oh, sure.
stories and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, but let me ask
And,
you.
and I'm actually, huh?
Let me ask you though. Have you? Well, you can finish your thought if you like, but I want to know if you've heard any stories of actual vampires, not just the counterculture stuff, but some really
Um,
supernatural stuff.
no, not really, 'cause I don't. I try not to go out to New Orleans. I mean, look, we got good people here. We got good food. I mean, everybody is down to earth, especially if you come down south. You know, you got it everywhere, good and bad.
Right.
But I mean, the only story that I've ever heard of, which was a lady that was actually in New Orleans, and she saw this guy, and like he was like pale, and he was talking to her, and next thing you know, she turned around and he was nowhere to be found. But she happened to look up in one of the buildings. She seen him on top of the roof within minutes.
Oh, geez.
So I don't know what that. Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
Right. That's creepy.
So
Yeah. So
yeah, that. Oh
did.
yeah, like I said, I got friends that lived in haunted houses down here. I have a friend that actually moved in to a house. I happened to walk into the house because I could feel the vibes or whatever,
Hmm.
and I had to walk out. It's not like old mothballs and stuff, you know. I'm like, I'm going outside to smoke a cigarette. I don't feel like being in here. So when they got me in the car and we started driving off, she told me, she says, you know, that house was a funeral home back in the 30s. I said,
Ooh.
oh, thanks for telling me. And when they when they opened up the shed in the back, it had coffins and formaldehyde in the shed when his grandmother bought the house.
Oh, yeesh. Wow.
And they had plates moving, you know, lights turning off and on. They could hear people walking, and that's a little creepy, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot of activity, but there again, it's that whole energy of that place. And I've been to New Orleans. I was there for about a week, and I loved it. I mean, I just love the vibe down there. I love the feeling in the air. Now, granted, I mean, honestly, you could feel that old energy of the place. For me, that's the best way I can describe it. It's just that old energy. Not necessarily a bad energy, not necessarily a good energy, just a charge to the whole place, especially the French Quarter.
Yeah, it has a good feeling to you. But you know, sometimes, like they said, like when we evacuated for Katrina and we came back, the whole city was just like it had a bad feel to it. You know,
Oh, I can
it's
only
like
imagine.
because I was in Virginia for 2 months when after everything was getting sort of rebuilt back. I mean, it took it a while, but I mean, there's still some areas that are still down. You can see where
Mhm.
the houses were dilapidated and stuff like that. You know,
Right.
um, but you know, I'm like when we came back, I just had this the bad feeling and everything.
Hmm. I listened
You
to
know?
a series from Dark Waters. Did a show or two about Katrina and about all the weirdness that was reported during that whole thing as far as supernatural stuff, and it sounds like that place was just. I mean, it was just electrically paranormally charged during Katrina. Like there was a whole lot of things going on sideways down there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it was. It
Man.
was. I mean, it was turmoil down here. I mean, it looked like a ghost town. There wasn't that many people. In fact, when we got back in the neighborhood, there was probably about maybe six of us
Uh huh.
in the whole neighborhood
Wow.
because everybody had been cleared out. I mean, it took them about a month and a half to get back in. You know, people to come back home and stuff. It was that's how bad it was.
Oh, I can only imagine.
I
Wow.
mean, for the people who have disasters and all, we always pray for them because we know we've been through a lot of different um things like that,
Hmm.
hurricanes, tornadoes, but
Hmm.
you're never prepared for something like that sort of a disaster.
Right. Yeah. That's a whole game changer. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, it is. And
Now,
trust me, it is.
did
It,
you
it's
did you send
it's
that
something
video?
else.
Did you send that video already?
No, No, I'm gonna send it to you as soon as I get off the phone with you. I want you to see that. That is weird stuff.
Do I
And
have?
when my daughter sent it to me, I was like, okay. My daughter's like, Mom, I mean, the camera just came on and you could see the handle. Like I said, it was sticking straight up. Then it slowly went down midway, and then next thing you know, it pops down because an ice chest handle don't do that on its own.
Right, right. Yeah, there's no
Especially when
automated.
it's sitting straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no explanation for it. I mean, it's just sitting there, in the back of the boat, and it's like, okay, this is weird.
Now, do I have your permission to use it on the show?
Yes, you can.
Okay, wonderful. That's very cool.
Everybody likes to see different things like that. I mean, it's something that's caught on camera.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
very powerful. They say
I got two grandkids that. Go ahead.
I say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but a video is worth even more.
Yeah, exactly. see, like if I go out, because I go out into the field, we go squatching and all, and I've done found like structures. I've done found a footprint. It's just I'm hoping to get more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying in the field. So
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit better at it. It's fun. It's also dangerous, but we all learn. We all learn from the experiences that we go through.
Yeah, exactly. And
It's like when people call themselves researchers and experts. No, you're not an expert in this field. Everybody's still learning about everything.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff that's out there that we don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. That's the premise for the Paranormal Portal is the fact that there aren't experts and there's still magic and mystery in the world.
And we love your show. I listen to it every night when I can get on. Most of the time, I'm like, hello everybody. I'm late, but I'm trying to catch it. But I do listen to it the next day when I'm driving around because that's what I do for my job.
Oh, fantastic! Well, you can now with the podcast you can download and those will all be new episodes for the most part. We may use some classic episodes here and there, but yeah, we're really excited about this. So that's awesome. But I'll be watching for that.
Are you getting Are you getting the Patreon page going to where you get the videos or?
No, I hadn't thought about that, I guess, yet. That may come because a lot of the episodes that I'm recording, I'm doing a video of and then ripping the MP3 off of. So, in order to send out for the podcast. So I guess I could do a Patreon page so that people could watch the videos. I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. I don't know.
That would be a good idea.
Well, absolutely.
You become like a member, donate $1, $2, $5. That would work.
Well, cool. Thank you for the good idea.
It's a thought.
I appreciate that. Enterprising, Christy. I love it.
They call me sci-fi. I'm actually with a group down here in New Orleans, a Bigfoot group called Bigfoot Explorer.
Okay.
So,
Excellent. Very cool.
That's who I'm with.
Well,
yeah, we in connection with Bigfoot Odyssey.
Oh, are you? Okay, I got you. Very
yeah.
cool. All right.
Yeah, I listen to everybody. I listen to your boy Brian Sullivan. Oh, Duke, he's good. I love his shows.
Yeah.
I love all of them. They everybody that puts out there for everybody to listen to is awesome.
Yeah.
You learn. You listen to everybody's experiences. Excuse me. And you learn from it,
Right.
And it's appreciated by everybody's stories. I'm telling you, we enjoy them. Trust me.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I know Duke will forget more about Bigfoot than most people could ever learn. So he's just one of those reference sections.
He knows. He's got some knowledge with that. That's why I ask him questions when I'm in the chat room,
Yeah.
Because he had a video up of the different types of Sasquatch. And I'm like, well, what type do we have down here in Louisiana? Because I don't want to go across to the aggressive one. I don't want to get one that's mean and try to run me out of the woods, I mean, each encounter is different with people.
Sure.
That's what I'm learning, and that's what I'm, it's based on my opinion. I think that the Bigfoot can feel what your intent is when you walk into the woods.
Yeah.
It's not like if you walk in there with a gun and you want to shoot everything up. You're gonna have bad vibes with you, and of course they're gonna sense that.
Yes, exactly.
So
I think, and then there's always the one person may have a bad experience, but another person may not. And it's kind of like, you ever walk into a room and meet someone new, and for some reason you just don't like them, and you don't know why, but there's just something about that person you don't like, and it just doesn't vibe with you at all. And I think that sometimes maybe the same things happen for the Bigfoot. It's like some people they like, and then once in a while there's someone they just don't like. There's something about them that might trigger. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's more of a telepathic or energy thing. I don't know, but I've experienced that myself many times. That I don't know why, but there's some people that I just feel are absolutely abrasive to me, and I stay away from. And maybe that's the same thing for some of those negative encounters, but it's hard to say. It's a really cool field, though. It's a lot of exciting stuff, and if you ever find anything cool, let us know.
Oh, definitely, Dawn. Definitely. I will send it your way.
All right.
And I appreciate you letting me be on the show and talking to you and telling everybody hello. Lady Death and Randall, and I'm missing a few people here. My brain is not thinking. I'm sorry, y'all. I just got home from work.
That's fine.
Duke.
Yeah. We got a bunch of people.
MCAT with H4X, HX4. Yeah, I'm dyslexic too, so.
No, I just call
And
them.
you hear my dogs barking.
I do. They're ready for some love. Before you go, though, you got to.
Oh yeah, they want to come.
You got to do the squeaky gate.
Huh?
Before you go, you got to do the squeaky gate again.
Oh, the squeaky gate. Okay. With the hen with the lantern.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, baby. I appreciate it. And like I said, tell everybody hello, and may y'all have faith and blessings and lots of love,
All right. And if you send the video, I'll probably save it for Wednesday night show, if that's okay with you, okay?
Yeah, that's definitely. I'm gonna send it to you as soon as I get off the phone.
All right, my lady. Thanks so much for calling in and being a part of the show and being a part of the family.
No problem, Dawn. Have a blessed night.
All right. Good night.
All right. Bye.
Very cool. Yeah, she's got a good vibe. You're right, Randall. I gotta say, I always go, Randall Electric. Sorry, the name just always throws me. I just got to remember Randall. All right, Randall. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So that was a great call, and thank you so much for sharing all those stories too, Christy. That was really cool. Lots of great information, and I love these first secondhand stories. They're awesome. They're just brilliant. Yeah, wow. No doubt, New Orleans is a hopping place for psychic energy, or whatever you want to call that energy. It's just, I really liked it there. I could definitely see living there personally. I mean, I've only viewed it as a visitor, so maybe it's not as cool as I think it is, but the people were all so nice down there. It just felt such a welcoming vibe, and granted, I was a tourist, so of course you're going to meet the best of the people giving you their best, because tourism is important. But I don't know. I think generally I'm a pretty decent judge of character, and I thought that most everybody I met would just seemed real down to earth. Even the cabbie that gave us a ride from the airport to the hotel we were staying at, me and an old girlfriend. It was just really cool. He told us stories, and it was about the time that Interview with a Vampire came out. So, that'll give you an idea of when I went there. But he was talking about Anne Rice and all of the local apocrypha regarding her. And apparently the locals think she's a pretty creepy lady. And which, means that she's probably just our people. She's probably our kind of people. That's all. So anyway, let's continue on here. I hadn't read North Dakota yet, had I? So, let's see. This is the weirdest story I've ever written. Let's begin with, my school is not haunted. I have seen a ghost outside the building, like in the soccer field, but I never actually saw one in the school. I did hear one. I was early for my math class, and my teacher asked me to go bring a textbook to a teacher downstairs, and I said, sure. I walked down the steps, went down the hallway, and I saw like 3 of my friends in a classroom, and I said, a quick hello, and they said hi back, and they went back to talking, and I gave the other teacher the textbook, and I had a couple minutes until the bell rang, so I stopped by that classroom with my friends again to talk. But when I got to the classroom, there was no one there. My friends weren't there, but I heard their voices. I knew it was their voices, and I knew I saw them before in that same classroom, and I said a very soft voice, "Is there anyone in here?" And the talking stopped. And there was no reply. I asked again. No answer. I asked one more time, and a book went flying towards me, and I moved out of the classroom, and I quickly went back to my class and was breathing like I couldn't breathe at all. No one really noticed, and after that day, I never went near that classroom again. I've never heard of our school being infested with ghosts, and I've never heard of a classroom being haunted either. Do ghosts really take the shape of people? I don't know what to make of that one. It sounds almost like a time slip kind of thing, or a dimensional shift or something. I don't know. That's really weird. For a classroom to be occupied and then suddenly not occupied, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But good story. Good story. Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, which is what we do on the portal here. We got a full diet of thought. All right, next one's coming from Kansas. Another state that sounds just like it's spelled. It was 1987, and I lived on a farm in southeastern Kansas with my grandparents, my little brother, and we were having a slumber party with 3 of our cousins who happened to live across the pasture from us. And I was 13, my brother was 10, and our cousins were about 13, 14, and 8. My cousin Jennifer and I were the only girls there, so we watched some scary movies with my brother and my other cousins, and then decided to listen to music and gab in my bedroom. My room was in the front of the house, facing the gravel road, and there was a tall hedge in the front. There was a tall hedgerow in the front yard. Sorry, next to the gravel road, and the only thing that could be seen from the road at night was headlights from a car. It was pitch black outside, and as we sat on the old brass bed, which was positioned against the open front window, and I glanced out into the stark night through the window frame from time to time as we giddy girls talked about cute boys and that were at our school, Rick Springfield, and and listened to 80s music. And at one point, the conversation in which I was trying to make my point, probably trying to convince her of why Led Zeppelin was the best band in the world, I happened to look out the window and see a glowing, tall figure walking up and down the road in front of the farmhouse. Now, I have no earthly idea how I was so enthralled in the conversation that we were having that I noticed this bizarre figure only on a subconscious level. I recall seeing this person pacing, but I must have filed it in the back of my mind for later processing. That's the way my mind works at times, seems almost enigmatic as this story. It was rather early in the morning, and it seemed to me that we had been talking for hours about nothing, and all of a sudden, I felt someone staring at me, and looked up and out of the window, and there my eyes immediately fell upon a tall, gaunt, hollow-eyed, glowing skeletal figure, which was leaning against a tall cedar tree in the front yard by the road and staring at me. As soon as I laid eyes on it, the figure quickly looked away, just the same way a person would in real life if he or she was caught staring at another. My cousin and I watched in utter astonishment as the spirit started off walking down the road and after a few paces, completely vanished. We both looked at each other wide-eyed. "Did you see that?" I asked my cousin, and she shook her head yes, looking pale. We quickly ran to the living room where our brothers were, hoping that it was them playing a joke on us, and much to our dismay, they were all sound asleep in front of a snowy television set. My cousin and I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning we told the guys about it, and they were as freaked out about it as we were. I never did find out why the spirit was so interested in me. Well, that's probably a good thing. That's probably a good thing to leave right where it was and be glad it was over. Yikes. I don't know. I'm just looking at the chat here quick. Saka tomorrow. Ak. All right, so the next one is Nebraska. You may have seen my original story, blah, blah, blah. I don't like that when they do that. Okay, so I've had many encounters since being a child, and they never completely stop. I see things others don't, and I see things others do. The same with sounds. I hear them, others don't, sometimes, and others do. But until now, this has dealt only with me personally. This is the first time I've had any experiences at work. In my original story, I had mentioned being tapped on the shoulder, objects being moved, and hearing whispers. I also mentioned the ceiling tiles being out of place. There was some question regarding the ceiling tiles, and this is a drop ceiling. Above the tiles is an insulation and ductwork, and the tiles are rather large, about 4 foot long by 2 foot wide, and they weighed 8.5 pounds each, and they're suspended from metal gridwork. A couple of days ago, I came in, unlocked my office, and about half of the tiles were stacked neatly in the middle of the floor. I hadn't been notified of any work being done in my office, so I was a bit confused, and the tiles were not taken down from one section. These were removed randomly, almost every other one in the ceiling. About an hour after I arrived, the facilities manager came by. He came to my office and stated, "What are those doing there?" And I asked him the same question. He said he had no idea. I knew I had not left until late in the evening the night before and had not had any workmen in my building. The office was definitely not having any work done, and he and I reviewed the security tapes. As I stated previously, these tapes are dated and time-stamped, and I am in a secure wing of the building. And at 2:48 a.m., you can see my office door open slightly, and then at 3:01, it slams closed. You can hear the slam on the tape. Other than that, absolutely nothing visible or audible the whole night. A workman was sent to my office to rehang the tiles, and he had a very difficult time with this task because on each of the metal grid areas where the tile had been removed, the metal had been bent upward. I'm still being tapped on the shoulder, and I'd say at least 2 times a day. When I open the door to the office, there are the whispers, as I stated before, at least one male sounding like about 15 to 20 people whispering in conversation. I've crosses in here, and I've begun to use a smoke crystal at someone's suggestion, and I have a Bible, and I'm at a loss on this one. I did ask the facilities manager if there had been any strange happenings in any other parts of the building, and he said he could not talk about it now and ran out of my office. He and I have been pretty close friends, so this is an odd behavior. I called him on his personal line the other evening, seeing if he would talk to me on the outside of the office, and his response was, "Let it go, Kim. I'm terrified and I don't know what to do. If I can come to terms with this in my mind, we will talk." He then hung up on me. Since the phone call, he has been avoiding me like the plague. I'm spooked and concerned with this one. Yeah, I don't blame you if you're being tapped and the whole tiles being stacked in your floor. Something's wanting you to know, but why? I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, that is about all we have time for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this journey, and I hope you guys have a brilliant night, whatever it is you're doing. But you guys take care. Just know I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other and help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. So thank you, Christy, for the phone call. Thank you all for being here, and be sure to check out the podcast if you would, please. It would really help. So love you guys, and have a great night and sweet dreams.